point, I realized that there are a lot of fantastic applications that only with a smartphone you can be able to, be super productive.
What if I told you that technology can actually be your child's friend? That you can actually have more screen time and they could be more creative and they can accomplish their goals. Well, today I have a treat for you. We have some awesome guests. They're going to be talking about the benefits of screen time, the benefits of putting structure for your child, and how your child can be even more productive with these technological tools instead of us always trying to run away from them. So I'm really excited. Get into this program. If you have any questions, please leave them below. But in the meantime, definitely subscribe and share with friends. I'll see you on the other side. Okay. Wow. I'm so glad to have you here, Bettina and Fredrick. So tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself and tell us about your life in technology and all the things that you've been accomplishing so far.
That's cool.
All right. So thank you, Ms. Osai, for having us here. It's such a pleasure, and we are so happy to be on your podcast. A bit about me. I believe Fred is going to talk about himself. A bit about me. me. So I guess my starts on technology, right? My
Yes.
journey on technology. Awesome. So before now, I've always worked in schools, and I always love animation, and because of my love for animation, it made me to start to get to know deep into what it takes to create an animation video. And because I love cartoons, and sometimes I get my parents say that I act like a cartoon. Fredrick also says that too, right? And because of that, I wanted to really know what's making a table to talk, what's making a chair to talk. And because of that, I started to dig deep into wanting to know how all of this happens. And that was how I get into technology. And ever since then, it has been one phase, one level or the other, and then I've just been growing and growing. So I would say my technology started with my love for cartoon and wanting to know how this happens.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. So you started out just like curious about things, and then next thing you know, you're running services and that. So, okay, Mr. Fredrick, I'm interested in your own background.
All right. So I had a quite funny one. It all began as a very young boy. I won't say as a young boy because I think I was quite young. Right.
Yes,
So it
for
all
sure.
began, when I was quite very younger, and I had this flair for everything electronics. I won't call it tech, but it was just about televisions at home. Once anything got spoiled, my dad would call Fredrick, what's wrong with it? And I always want to figure it out. I think I was just blessed with that ability, like a natural talent to always being able to figure things out, or what I say, figure tech out. All right. Then as I grew at about the age of 12, I got my first mobile phone, the CMNs and the Sir James. I don't know if you know this mobile phone. So from there, being someone that have been quite introverted, I just wanted to stay on my own, just be pressing the phone and all of that, playing snake games on Nokia when Nokia 3310 and the rest. And I think since 12, I've never not been without a mobile phone until it got smart. So my dad actually did so well in getting me all of these devices, laptops that I kept spoiling until I bought it with my money. I didn't spoil it again. Right. Then to mobile phones, I can actually count the number of mobile phones that I used in the past, but there was something peculiar that happened. I started getting more I started getting more attracted to being on my phone, what I would say getting too used to. I won't say addicted, getting too used to being on my phone. And then when internet came into mobile phones, the access point type of internet back then, Nigeria, try to access internet with your mobile phone, the 10199 access point, you know. And I got into internet and tried to start chatting with one type of chat they called 1 hour chats, back then as well. So, and I was more of this person that would always want to stay on their mobile phones, and I got used to it. So when I started growing up, going into university, I have a medical background, by the way, but nonetheless, I still had this predisposition to always being on my phone, right? Then at a point, like these things actually happened to me without me even realizing what I was doing. Okay. At a point, I said to myself, since you don't want to keep your phone and do things, do life and all of that, why not try to bring life to your phone? So one of the things I did that I always tell children was that I started taking pictures of all my notebooks. Okay. I put them on my phone, right? Such that to you, you might be passing and think that I'm on my phone, maybe in school or at home. But whereas I'm actually reading my notes, right? So I had all my medical books on my phone and everything. So that was how I actually started turning all the moment that I spent on my phone into productive use, right? Then towards 2016, when I left university, I decided to, start a business, an online business. Like I was doing this without even knowing what you're doing is called digital business. It's called e-commerce. It was later on, right? So I bumped into an application that I used to AliExpress back then, and I used it to import some stuff in from China. Like I think I was about, I can't remember how old I was, but the whole thing was actually happening to the point that when the stuffs came in, I told myself, wait, what if you start selling these things? Because these things are quite way cheap, right? What if you start selling them? And then I started using my Facebook then, because back then, once you run ads on Facebook's posts, that was when everything was so flawless, right? So I used Facebook ads to post on my timeline. There was a time I said, I can't imagine finished medical school and now I'm selling earphones. That post went viral and it actually helped me to, it actually helped me to start selling a lot of stuff until I discovered what I termed smartphone business. All right. How you could actually leverage the time you spend on your phone for profitable things, right? Things that will make you money, not just productive things that would help you to accomplish your goals, right? So over there, I was able to run different types of online businesses because this was actually how my name, Smartphone Business Consultant, came about, right? I was able to run different types of online businesses to the point that I now decided to consult on getting people to actually leverage their devices, the potentials of their smartphone to run their business, run an act, run a fresh business or help grow their existing business, and also helping people to, use the different applications on their phone to get more productive. So I'm just trying to juxtapose everything. It's a long story, right?
Wow. Wow. Wait, hold on. I don't want you to
So,
tell everything because there's so many moments here, so many key moments.
yeah,
I don't want people to miss it. One,
yeah,
the power of your parents. Your dad always encouraged you. He always provided you with resources,
yeah,
laptops, smartphones before you started buying yours. Like that is so powerful.
yeah,
Two, the fact that Bettina came with software knowledge and you come with a lot of hardware knowledge before all of that, and the two of you decided to do this together. Like that's amazing. Then you have this medical background and you
yeah,
decided that, okay, instead of doing this medicine thing, I'm really getting traction with this. So it shows that people's lives are not linear. It's not always, for me to be successful, I must do this and this and this because
yeah,
that other person did
exactly.
that. Like there's so many insights there. And then there was one other thing that you mentioned that I thought was so powerful. Just about the idea of trying different things, and then whatever
Yeah,
starts working, and then you were like creating these apps without even knowing you were creating apps. So there are all these apps right now like Notion and all of those things that help you to document things so that you can put like your books and stuff like that on your phone, but you were already doing that without those apps. So I think that's phenomenal that you are recognizing all of these things led to where you are now, even though when you were making that progress, you probably didn't know that that's what you were doing. So I don't want you to say all of that and then we miss out on the learning there. Now we've talked about the history, we've talked about everything that happened, getting to this moment. And so now I want to say, what inspired you? Okay, you were a consultant, you were doing things. What inspired you to start focusing on smartphone productivity for children after all of that? Okay, I'm seeing that you couldn't hear some of what I said, but I pretty much went through.
I lost you there.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I pretty much went through all the different learnings that I got from both of your stories.
Yeah.
And so now we're talking about what inspired you to focus on smartphone productivity for children. Yes, you're a consultant. Yes, you tried different things. Yes, you sold online. But why did you decide to focus on this for children?
Okay, so I think I'll start here. So why we brought it down to children, right? Was before I met her, I'd already, like I said, I'd already started teaching adults how to be productive with their device. Okay, because after I ran a research when I was starting newly about the total number of people in the world that owns a smartphone, and I discovered over 5.5 billion people in the world currently own a smartphone, right? And when compared with the number of people that own a laptop, right, they were about 300, 400 million, not even up to 1 billion, right? So, and another thing about that statistics was that over 87% of this population actually admitted to not being able to do without their smartphones, right? So this was what led me to wanting to teach people. And now I discovered that it's not about always wanting to be on your phone, right? It's not about what you are doing with your phone, right? How are you ensuring that the time you spend on your smartphone is not going to deter you or prevent you from actually doing life, actually doing your concentrating on your business and all of that. That's for adults. So it led me to opening people's eyes to the enormous potentials of smartphones, right, that they are not aware of. So that was how I started teaching people smartphone productivity, right? Now, for bringing children in, before I met her, she was actually the one that opened my eyes to, the need, right? The importance of bringing it down to children. I looked at my own life. I told you that my first mobile phone, not even a smartphone, right, was when I was 12 years old. Yes, I give it to my parents for always getting me those gadgets, but I will not fault them here because they are as ignorant as I am about educating me on the right things that I needed to be doing with my phone. Because I always tell children that if I had me to you when I was you back then, I don't know if you understood that. Like, if I had someone that is like me to you as a child when I was 12 years old, I think I would have done a whole lot more than I have done. All right. So that need of not just giving a child a mobile phone, all right, without even minding, are they aware of what they even need to be doing with this device? All right. And we also discovered that these children are not even well educated on the smartphone technology, the way they are about laptops. Okay. In fact, there was a school because I like to ask children this question: what is a smartphone and what is a laptop? A child, in his own word, he said this without even adding anything to what he said. He said, a laptop is used for doing serious things. That was what he said. And I now said, what about the smartphone? He said, a smartphone is used for doing unserious things. I asked why. You can't fault him because all of us adults, whenever we're on our phone, the next thing we start laughing, probably on social media and watching a comic video, right? We start laughing, But when daddy gets on a laptop, they wear glasses first, and then don't talk, I'm walking, all right? So you already give the child that impression that over here, a laptop, serious things, over here, have fun, just while away your time here, all right? So this gap, right, that have been created unknowingly by the society, right, on the usefulness of a smartphone and compared with the usefulness of a laptop was what actually, when she brought the idea, was what I really, really bought into from my own very experience, right? So that was that for me. I don't know if you have something.
Yeah, just to add, Fredrick has said it all. But to add to what Fredrick said, and also in Nigeria, because we are speaking in the country we are in, when you go to the ICT the ICT curriculum and the ICT room, when the children are being taught about computers, there's always this, it has to be this kind of computer, it has to be this, any other kind of device that you can think of, it's not a computer. And there's a particular school we visited. They had so many what's it called now? Posters in the ICT room. And then they had this corner and they said, these are all ICT devices. And then there was no smartphone on it. They had computers, they had desktop computer, they had laptop, they had desktop computer, they had all the devices, and there was no smartphone. Now, with the to add to what the children already knows or what they must have seen in the house and coming to the school, their mindset is already made up that a smartphone is not, you can't use it for anything serious. And now they may not have a smartphone, they may have tablets. And we need to also know that all of these are all in the categories of smartphones. They are all in the categories of smart devices. So when they're on their tablet, they are not even seeing it as it's an important, if it's not a laptop, any other thing you can think of a smart device is just for games or for other things. So to add to that, the schools as well are not even doing justice to this education. The schools are not doing justice to allowing the children know that the same way you have, because when we define computer as an electronic device that stores data, processes the data, and gives information. That simple definition, a tablet can do that. A smartphone can do that. It can process the data. It can give you information. So if we are now streamlining the knowledge into one, we are just channeling it into one way, into laptops, then of course the child will definitely make a mistake when he or she gets to own the device. So we have to look at all of this and said, okay, we are not battling with the schools. Schools, please do what you're doing. You're doing well. Give you kudos. But then when it comes to smart device, based on our experience, even I have my own personal experience. If I can quickly just talk about it. So I was in a competition. It was a German competition. And we were to create an animation project. And at that time, it was before the COVID, but during the COVID, I think, my laptop got stolen. My brother carried it, he took it to the school, and somehow he just called me and said, fix this. I don't want to call them at the university, were robbed and everything was stolen. And that was how I lost my laptop. And at that time, I didn't want to give an excuse of telling the people that because my laptop got stolen, I couldn't submit. So I had my smartphone then, and I started making research. Okay, what kind of animation can I be able to submit with this smartphone? And it was at that point I realized that there are a lot of fantastic applications that only with a smartphone you can be able to, be super productive. I had to do another style of animation, and I submitted it. That I did a style what is called stop motion animation. And at the point when I was going through that process, I realized that there are a lot of things that people are not aware of. And because I've worked with children all of my life, and I've said, okay, let's bring all of this knowledge. So Fredrick does adults. You come, let's team up together, even before we got married. Let's team up together. Let's see how we can be able to bring this education to the children. And that was why we had to just focus everything, smartphone productivity for children.
Wow, that's such an amazing story. And you're right. I think the reason a lot of us as parents, we don't tell our children about things is because we're not aware. And maybe even to the extreme, parents, we're actually afraid of smart devices because we've heard so many things that, oh, they will watch things that are not appropriate for them. Oh, they can different things. And so we're not really sure how to go about it. So can you share, okay, you talked about stop motion animation application. What are some other things that children can learn to use with their smart devices?
All right. So these are the children, because whenever we talk to children about smartphone productivity, we are trying to bring them from the things that they feel the smartphones are generally used for, right? Communication, right? Texting, calling, and all of that, WhatsApp calls and all of that. Okay, and then the next thing they'll do with their device is entertainment, play games, YouTube videos, watch YouTube videos, right? And then quite a few of them might now take pictures with their phone and all of that. Okay, but then we now want to get them to be able to use their devices for to fulfill the three major objectives, right? Number one is their education. Okay, there are several applications, but let me not say several. Like, for instance, we have U-Lesson for Nigerian students, right? That already offers them all of their subjects, subjects in school. They can come to their smartphone or their tablet and just go to U-Lesson and start watching all of those programs, right? Then even YouTube. Okay, I always tell children that, do you know, if you learned algebra in school and you did not fully understand it well, instead of you to go to YouTube and watch the latest K-pop shows and all of that, you can actually just type algebra, understanding algebra, algebra made easy, and you see loads and loads of content on algebra. Okay, now if you still go to Play Store, you're going to find applications like Socratic. There's another one called Photomat that just by taking picture of their mathematical problems, the application can solve it with, showing all the work, that comes in solving that problem. Okay, so that's for education. Another one is about helping them in their critical thinking, right? Helping them develop problem solving skills, all right? Which is the part that I always tell parents the importance of games, right? Because some parents don't feel like games are a waste of time to children. No, because whenever the child is able to pass level 1, level 2, level 3, no matter how difficult it was, and they pass that level, it is actually teaching them life lessons. Okay, so that when they meet whatever hurdle in life, they will remember, I remember when I was playing this particular game and it was difficult for me. I kept thinking and thinking. So they don't just stop there and start crying and looking for help, because they don't seek for help when they're playing those games, right? Yes. So they still bend down and think about, how do I figure this out and pass this level, right? Then another one is about fueling their passion, right? Because we always want parents to actually allow their children to get into things that they are passionate about, things that they love to do, and their smart devices can help them. For instance, okay, I did not talk about this about me when I used to dance, right? So I use YouTube videos, right? I use lots of YouTube videos to really be so good at dancing back when, okay? So whatever passion that the child may actually have, there is always an application that can help that child, encourage that child, so that he or she can, develop that skill or hone that talent into a skill.
Okay. Okay. So regarding the games that Fredrick spoke about, there are a list of games that we always encourage parents to allow their children to play. For example, we have a game that's called Hocus, Hocus. Now, Hocus is a very fantastic puzzle game that, it takes a child that has a very, very high intelligence quotient to be able to move to the highest level. So if your child is in love with this game, in as much as they're just playing games, and if your child is in love with this game, it's not just a game. It's a game that requires the child to think critically. So that's one. And for the fueling of the child's passion that Fredrick also spoke about, if the child loves a particular thing, for example, the child loves color, for example, you can start to think of how to channel that love for colors into graphic designing. Now, you're showing the child that this tablet that I'm gifting you, I know that you love colors, right? Okay, but I want to enroll you into this kind of education, or this kind of program that would let you understand how you can blend the colors well. So, okay, how can you blend these colors well? That's where graphic designing comes into place. If your child knows how to draw, and your child knows how to cut things out, because we have children that they can really, really cut out things. Now, you can look at a skill like stop motion animation. They don't need a laptop to do this. Just that same smart device that they are always hugging and they don't want to let go. Okay, it's not about collecting or snatching out the device from them, but rather trying to see how you can channel that love that they have for that device into exactly into something productive, into something that they can that can fuel their passion. So these are the things that parents just need to like sit down with their child, have a conversation with them, if that's the right word, or suggest some things to them. Okay, I think you can do this. We have some children that are in our classes, and because the child loves to write, the parent has to how to introduce the child to comics. The child gets to learn how to create beautiful comics, how to create electronic books, and they get to publish it. So that way, you're channeling the time that the child is spending on their device into things that are productive. So if parents and schools as well can be able to see things in this light, I believe that together will make the world a better place. And also, I need to also add this. So Freddie mentioned U lesson. That's fantastic. We also have this platform that we are working on that focuses majorly on smartphone productivity for children, or tech skills on smartphone productivity. We are still working on that, and we really can't wait for it to launch, because we feel like these are things that most parents are not aware, and if they have platforms that would open their eyes to understanding these things, I believe it will really, really help them. So we are still working on that.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So when that's ready, please send us the link so that we can share as well.
Definitely.
What is the age group that you usually work with?
Okay, so we work with children from ages 5 to 17.
Okay.
From ages 5 to 7. The youngest in my class is 17, and then the oldest is the youngest is 5. The youngest is 5, the oldest is 17. But for the children that are above 18, we always recommend them to go into Smartphone Business Academy. So now Smartphone Business Academy, it's just making them understand how they can be able to start a business and earn income using their smart devices. So we just walk around children in that sector.
Wow, that's so amazing. So you talked about what I really like, because this is what I'm passionate about, is that you're focusing, you're encouraging parents to connect with their children so that they know what their children are interested in. So it's not necessarily, I'm just going to tell you, go and do this, go and learn Photoshop, go and learn whatever. But it's like, what are you interested in? And here I can support you with this platform. So you talked about that. You talked about passions. You talked about learning strategy. You talked about learning things that you need to know in school. You even talked about learning like skills like dance that probably helped Mr. Fredrick to connect with Ms. Bettina because he was like a great dancer. So there's so many things that we can learn with our smartphone. So it's really good for parents to be having these conversations with their children. And so I want to hear from you now about some of the benefits. We've talked a lot about benefits, but what are some of the dangers, things that we should be careful about as far as, okay, I want my child to learn all these smartphone productivity things, but what are some things that we could be concerned about that can be detrimental to a child's development?
Yeah, so again, in our program, we always have this class called nomophobia. So nomophobia is the fear of not being with your mobile device. Okay, so and in that class, we get the children to understand the dangers that are associated with this problem, all right, with nomophobia, all right, and it's divided into different categories. First off is education, right? When the child, it's not now one of the things that we even used to tell parents to do, we also work with the children to try to achieve is, giving themselves a day out of electronic devices, like today, I'm not going to touch my smartphone, my tablet, even my laptop. I won't touch it. All right. So we are just getting the children to not allow, we always tell them to not allow the smartphone to mar them, but rather to use the smartphone to make greatness out of them, right? So for education, if the children becomes too addicted, to their devices, when they become too attached to their devices that they can't even separate the time they should be on their phone and the time that they shouldn't is going to affect their academics, right? Now, some people say, but you said that you get them to also use educational applications. Well, children are children. Children are not adults because you can never actually say out of everything you have learned, I know that every time you're on your phone, you'll be doing educational things. That's not true. Okay, that's not true. Children will always be children. They always want to do their own thing, right? So too much time on their devices is going to actually start preventing them from carrying out their doing their homeworks, from studying their books, right? And all of these things, because I always tell her that as much as I create ebooks, I hate reading ebooks. All right, because it takes me just one notification to switch to something else. All right, how much more a child? Okay, so they need to actually learn how to that this time I want to read my book, I want to do my assignment, and not the time for my device. That's one. Another one is social skills. This was also something that really affected me. I think it's still it is I'm still like suffering from that. So some people ask me, how did I ask her to marry me? Right. So, because I would just want to stay on my phone. I really don't like people. Till now, I'm trying to fix that. Okay. So I just want to be on my phone. And had it been that I had a moment that I'll say, okay, I'm not going to touch my, if I don't talk to people, I'm going to be bored today. So you just have to force yourself and go play with your friends. And also, parents need to set rules, smartphone rules. In the dining table, no smartphone. And parents need to also follow this because parents are always fond of setting rules for children and don't follow children. So yeah. No phone in the smartphone. If we are watching television, no smartphones. If it beeps, don't pick. Daddy, don't pick. Mommy, don't pick. Right? It's time for us to see a movie, right? So when parents also takes follows these rules that they set for their children, the children will actually be able to learn better than when they are told to. All right. Then another one is the health implications or the health risk associated with this. Okay, from eye problem, right, to even headache. This wave transmissions from smartphones and the eyes, it can cause the child headache. And their brain is not as their brain is not as developed as ours, right? So too much of screen time on their eyes, it's not just for their eyes, it's going to they'll start developing headache and sickness and all of that. Okay, so all of these can actually be said to be detriments when of too much screen time on the children.
Wow, that's so powerful. And I love that you've answered quite a few questions that I had just about parents helping their children, guiding their children, realizing, like you said, children's brains are not fully developed. So we can't expect them to be as responsible as we can be responsible. Adults, just because, yes, right, they're children. So now my question is that a lot of times children in those middle ages, so let's say between 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, they start thinking more about being independent and want their privacy and all of those things. And they want you to trust them. Like, why don't you trust me? Everything goes back to, why don't you trust me? How can a parent show that I trust you, but I'm trying to guide you, and so how to still pay attention to what they're doing, how to still stay alert to what they're doing without like invading their privacy? Or what are your thoughts around that?
Okay, so that's like about how to monitor your children's use of their devices, right? Without invading their privacy. Yeah. Yes. So whenever I'm asked this question, I used to say this to parents, right? Being parents, right? I'm not a parent yet, but I feel like I'm already a parent because I have a lot of children around me. Right?
Exactly. So, yes.
So I used to say this, that when parents don't start early to start, getting the children to understand some things, they will that child will get to an age where it will no longer be by your strength, but by the power of God, right? You're going to change from him trying to help him to turning him into a prayer point, right? So, yeah. So that was actually one of the reasons why we brought down our programs to 5, because this is actually the age 5, 6. These are the age where children can still be. You can tell him anything. You can still control him as much as you want. You can invade his or her privacy as much as you want. But once they are getting into that adolescence, middle age, teenage, there's going to be a problem, right? And that is why whenever they send us a teenager, there's always a problem we find with them, right? We find a problem with teenagers because they are getting to learn these new things. You cannot come and tell them that everything that they have collected from their friends, supposed friends that they feel they know that they are wrong. So you're right. So you want to go another way. So how do you do this? Okay. Number one, we've tried to suggest or recommend Google Family Link, where the parent can use to, monitor the child's smartphone, make sure that they are not downloading the wrong app, make sure, in fact, you can also control the time that they are spending on their phone from your own phone, right? But then parents have also submitted to us that some of their children delete the app. They discover it because these children have come to realize that the children of today, they are way smarter than their parents. Okay, technology have made this kid way smarter than their parents. And that is why we tell these parents that you don't just send us your children and you go and sleep. You need to be knowing what he or she knows. Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. They send them off and then they go and sleep, and we literally follow these children from online. We don't follow them like you are seeing them to punish them, or we can't punish anybody online. Right? So you need to, draw close, because once your child knows that you know what he or she knows, there's a way your child will follow you. But when your child knows that you're ignorant, they will mess your life up. Okay. So now that's one. All right. Although, like I said, for these older children, it may not work. Okay. It may not work. It still boils down to actually getting the child to trust you. Okay, actually getting the child to trust you and to really believe that you are trying to look out for him or for her. Now, sometimes this may not work. Then we ask the parent, there must be somebody in your child's life that he or she respects. There's somebody, it could be their friend. Okay, it could be their friend, it could be a class teacher, it could be, there's somebody in your child's life that he or she respects. So you want to actually make a friend out of that person. All right. Now, another one based on social media use, one of the things I discovered and I've been suggesting to parents to do is when your child is sleeping, right, find a way, get his or her device, get his or her phone, right, and find out their social handles, all of them. There must be a way to open it, right? Even if it's passworded, is it not either eyes or to open it, right? So when you open it, either way, just find your children's handles, whether it's on Facebook or most of the children, they're either on TikTok or Snapchat, right? So find their handles and you create a random person handle, an anonymous handle, right? And just follow them. Okay, follow them. Now, you're not going to actually try to confront, because some parents, once they see that their child have done something wrong, they don't even want to think. They just want to pounce on him or her. And then the next thing, the child will be trying to wonder, how did he or she find out, right? So you want to actually, when you see that maybe he or she have posted something that is wrong, okay, the thing that our parents used to do when we were younger is that it will become the morning devotion, the preaching, the topic for morning devotion, right? But then you just need to find a way, right, to actually discuss, not trying to, sometimes you can actually look for a movie that relates to that. Or not a book, they may not read it, but if it's a movie, right, just play the movie. Either find it on Netflix or any streaming channel and just play it, because there's always a movie that is going to help you to talk to your child. And when the child sees that movie, somehow, it will start ringing in his or her head. And you don't even need to say anything. right? You don't need to say anything. You just need to find a way to bring whatever thing you discovered about him or her that is not right and talk about it, but not in a way that you start raising suspicion. All right. But the most important thing I always say is that prevention is better than cure, right? So if you still have a child that is between the ages below that 10 years old, right, you actually have a lot of work to do. Like, I seriously pity parents. I seriously pity. Sometimes when I go on Twitter and I see things trending, right, my mind goes to children that are going to come and see this. That's where anytime I just see anything trending, my mind quickly goes to a child may see this, and there is nobody that talks to them about this. And that is why I would recommend parents pick out a day in your family, a day in your family to talk social media trends. This thing is trending on social. Did you hear about it? So what do you think about it? Talk about it with them. Because if you don't do, they are going to follow whatever thing social media guys are talking about, and they will follow it. And that is going to be a problem.
So, to add to what Fredrick said, everything still boils down to relationship.
Yeah.
The relationship you have with your child. Nowadays, it seems like most parents are so busy.
Yeah, very busy.
Like, it just seems like parents are so busy. They're going to work, they come back very late at night. Exactly, they're very tired. And very early in the morning, they're leaving again, wanting to go out. We totally understand that parents need to go out. We need to go out, we need to make the money, because that's how we can be able to pay their fees, pay the house rent. We totally understand. But then there should still be a time for just, even if it's just a very short period of time, like just a short time, maybe a weekend, like weekend hangouts, just don't allow the child feel like daddy is not always around. There was in a particular school, and this girl was meant to have a presentation. She was in our training, and then wanted her to have a presentation, and they wanted to trick her that it was a presentation in front of the parents. And we told her that, oh, but just try to do it very well. Your dad will be there, he's going to see you, and he will be very happy. And then she said, my dad come to this school on this day. It's not possible. That even on my graduation day, my dad said he was coming and he never came. So I can bet you that my dad will not come. And that statement that she made, in as much as we just laughed over it, it was not a good statement. It was really heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking, because we thought that we could use that to make her to find interest in doing this, because she was doing very well, and we wanted her to just come and talk to other parents on what she had done so far in that term. Okay, so we really will plead with parents that we understand that, especially in Nigeria where we are, so many parents are super busy and they just leave their children to their nannies and the caregivers. And yes, these people are doing fantastic work. The nannies are doing fantastic work, but they are not the parents. Sometimes we've had children come to us, tell us some things that even their parents are not aware of. And they will tell you, Miss Betty, don't tell my mom. There's this girl, I like her, And then sometimes you tell the parents, and because of the parents not knowing how to handle such situation, they just bounce on the child. What did you say is your best friend? What did you say is this? And then because of that, the child just goes back into his or her shell and not talk again. So we really will plead with parents that, just have this time with your child. They are your children. If you make all the money in the world, they are still making it for them. So what's the point of making all the money in the world, and then the children that are making the money for, there is nothing that we can write, like we can't even write anything about our children. So parents, you ask them about their child's age, and they're like, I think my son is 5 years old. Like, really, you think? All right. So we hope that this will really help.
Wow, I'm so glad you're sharing this. This is the reason we started this podcast, and it's called Connected Parent, because all the people I've been speaking with, it comes back to that relationship with your child. And even when your child is doing all right, like the young lady you mentioned that's doing well, but their parents are not involved, there's a level of anxiety within that child because she will, well, most times, a lot of the children that I've seen, let me not speak on this particular child, is that it's either they become rebellious or they try their best to be good because they feel like the only way I'm valuable is when I'm doing good things. And they'll always feel like they're not good enough. So that's why parenting is so important. But I think a lot of us grew up without really learning that parenting is a skill. We just thought become a parent and you'll manage and you'll figure it out. But it's actually a skill. Staying connected with a child, even when they have annoyed you, staying connected with the child, even when they do something that makes you feel embarrassed, letting them know that they're a priority in your life, even when you're busy. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's a skill that you can learn. And just like you said, even if you don't have as much time as you would like with your child, if the time that you spend with them, your children see that you value them, you see them as valuable human beings, you're not spending that whole time shouting at them, telling them to do something, telling them that they're stressing your life, telling them that you're doing all this for them and they're not appreciating you. If you spend that time just like, oh, tell me how things are going, and then you can be an influence in their lives. Because oftentimes we think we want to control our children, but parents, nobody came into this world to be controlled, but we can influence. We can influence if our children trust us. But a lot of the things that you said are so powerful. Let's stay connected. Let's try to influence our children. Let's stay involved. There's so many things that they can do, but if we're not staying connected and staying involved, we're not able to support them. And like you mentioned, there was just so much. I was just listening and saying, this is amazing. Like you mentioned, all the apps out there about safety, Google Family Link, whatever. Children are smart enough that if they want to get around it, they will get around it. Like every day I'm learning about a new way that children are getting around things, and your devices, that they're not being able to track it. But if your child trusts you and they know that you're not going to start shouting and all that stuff, they can come to you with their problems, as opposed to asking their friends that don't even know anything either, but they pretend like they know. Yeah. So I think the work that you're doing is so important, and I'm glad that you're always focusing on the relationship between the children and the parents, because that's so important. So with that said, I'm wondering now, because we talked about monitoring, we talked about a lot of things. I'm wondering, do you have any stories, like success stories, that you would like to share about how this smartphone productivity club and this organization has been helpful for maybe one or two children, that you'd say, oh, this child was doing this and now they're doing this, or this family was in this place and now they're in this place, kind of thing, to see how powerful your work is?
Okay, so we're going to answer it in two categories. I'm going to talk for myself, and Fredrick will talk for himself, because in our training, I focused on the 5 to 10, and Fredrick focused on the 11 to 17. So my own 5 to 10, a mom was sharing with me that after the child had learned how to create websites from us, she's into relationship and marriage. So she said that whenever the child is back from school and she's on a tablet, she tells her to create she tells her to create a website for her business, for her brand. And at the end of the day, she pays her 20 euros just to encourage her. Probably the money goes into her savings or thereabouts. Okay. So to us, it was so beautiful when we read that feedback, like really. And she wasn't up to 10. I think she was about 8 or 9 years old. And for her to be able to get that knowledge, and with the cooperation of her mom, teamed up together to start ensuring that it's not just the knowledge right now, but how are we able to use the knowledge? That alone for me as a teacher was a success story.
That's an amazing story. Before we even move to your example, that's such an amazing story, because here the child has learned a skill, and the mom is showing the child that I value you, I value your skill, I value the fact that you're a really smart child, and I'm going to pay you for this skill, not like do it for free or something like that. So that's really powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so mine with my teens, right? I think I have loads of them, right, from the boy in his school, after the, that term's program, on the day that they were supposed to, like the free day, right? And he was also supposed to represent, the club during the presentation. I was surprised. This boy showed up wearing the same type of clothes that I always wear.
Exactly the same
You know,
color, like the same
we
color.
saw the mom. The mom said that they went to the market, that he said he wanted the clothes that have yellow hair and black, and
Like
that he
Mr.
want to
Fredrick.
dress like Mr. Fredrick. So that alone, I just looked at him. I almost wanted to cry, right? But I felt like this boy has been imparted, right? Like anywhere he sees me around their school, he just comes, Mr. Fredrick, and all of that. Then some other children that sent him video testimonials about, some said that before they encountered our program, that she never knew that smartphones are capable of doing all the things that she learned. I think they learned ebook, they learned 3D animation and some generative AIs, and also talking to them about social media education and the rest. That she used to be someone that spent more time on her phone, and then she would just be playing games or just swiping on TikTok. That after the program, that she started creating ebooks, and of course the books that they actually sent, the project that they did, right, was quite beautiful. Not just her. There's this other one that said the same thing. That what is her name again? That's Modupe's daughter. What is her name again? So the girl, she lives in England, right? So she sent me a very beautiful video. She was so eloquent, talking about how the program changed her life, how her education, that she just felt like, the only way that she can prevent herself from not always being on her phone, or when mommy collects her phone, she will be so angry and angry, and then that she want to, fight. I said, but after the program, that she saw, number one, she saw how useful the smartphone can be, right? And number two, she was so proud of all the things that she did, right? And number three, she made the decision that she will always be the one, right, to discipline herself not to, use her phone, every time, and to always, stay away from her phone, have her own no phone day. That's what we call it, no phone days, NPDs. All right, observe her own no phone days, to make sure that all the things that she does on her phone leaves her very, very productive. We have a lot of stories like this.
To wrap up this, aside the children coming to give us this feedback,
Yeah,
we've also had parents
as well
coming to give us this feedback, that as a result of this training and this education and this program, their child has moved from this level to that level. And we even have video testimonials that they always share with us, and it's always so humbling to watch such kind of video, like, oh my god, like really made this impact, like seriously. Okay, so it has really been an amazing one for us, and we're not stopping. We are going deep. Well, yeah, we're going global.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And I'm so thankful that you do this. So I'm just imagining people are watching this and they're like, wow, I want this testimony too. I want my children to do this too. So how can we connect with you? What are the best ways for us to connect with you?
Okay, very simple. On all our social media platforms, is Smartphone Productivity Club. No punctuation. Smartphone Productivity Club. Once it's correctly spelled, you find us.
Yeah. We're literally the only smartphone productivity club.
Yeah.
That's great. And do you have any upcoming programs like in August or September?
Yes, we do. We usually have our academy that holds every 3 months. So it holds 3 times in a year. Every 3 months in a year, we are with your children, we're working with them. Yes, weekends, strictly weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. We're working with them, we're exploring a lot of applications, 3 months. And then we also have our summer classes that we do for in August. And we also have some in July for our students in diaspora. That's their summer period. We have summer class in July. We also have summer class in August. And One, yes, and then we have our one-on-one class. So once you come to us, we'll definitely provide you with all of this information. If you want a personalized class, just the instructor and your child, we have that for you. We have group classes. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. That's so exciting. So as we wrap up, what are some final words that you would like to share with parents about just smartphone productivity or anything that you're saying, this is the one thing I want you to remember if you don't remember anything else?
All right. So for parents that are watching this, one of the things I used to say about my parents is that if my parents actually allowed me to do some things that I was meant to do while I was quite younger, okay, I think I would have been much bigger than, but nonetheless, no regrets, right? I just want parents to know that don't stop your child, right, from reaching any level of success that they think they can reach, right? We have children that are doing amazingly so well, so that you even start wondering what they're even going to do when they now grow up, because it looks like they have done everything. They have achieved so much in while they were still young. And all of this is because their parents supported them, right? That's number one. Number two is that parents need to trust their children. Okay. Trust your children. Like, show your children that you actually support them, right? Just as we said earlier, that you don't, like, when parents send us their children, they just forget them. Okay. You need to actually get to even connect with them, right? Connect with them, find out what they are doing, support them, like the mom that pays the child to do, no matter how little or how ugly, she pays her and she feels quite appreciated to do more, right? So, and again, the third thing is that this is actually one of the most difficult eras, one of the most difficult moments to be a parent, the most difficult, all right? And if you're not intentional, if you're not intentional about making sure that the smartphone, the laptop, the tablet that you're giving to your child is not going to be the worst thing that you've done for your child, then you need to actually make sure that you draw that child very, very close. And also, if you cannot educate them on ways to be productive with that device, then get help, get professionals to help you, right? And by doing this, I believe that you should have relieved you a lot of tension, right? A lot of tension that you might be facing about raising your child in this technologically driven world. And that should be it.
Yeah, and to add to that, a smartphone is a computer. Okay, so parents need to understand that a smartphone is a computer, the same way we use our laptops for serious things. That's also the same way we should allow our children to use their smart devices for serious things. And all they need is just adequate education and they are good to go. And that's why we are here. We're here to work with you. Just reach out to us and we'll be glad to work with you and your children.
Oh, this is so awesome. Thank you so much for investing time in this conversation. Fredrick, Mr. Fredrick, Miss Betty, Mrs. Just thank you so much. It's been such a good conversation, and I'm just sure that a lot of parents will benefit from this. So we really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us too.
Appreciate it.